this is Jack, and I just wanted to bring you up to speed on another one of my recycling projects. Actually, this is a follow-up to the follow-up I did with my books that I'm donating to schools, specifically my great-nephew's school up in Washington State. Tyler, how you doing? There's another thing that I have to do sometimes with these books is to see that little, where is it? See that little tag right here. After I clean the dirt off and I take off as many stickers as I can with my fingernails. Sometimes I have to use the hairdryer to loosen the glue a little bit, but it's not bad. I just want to send them up there, you know, so the teacher, the librarian, doesn't have so much work to do when she's got to probably catalog it, renumber it, cover it up. This one's about Western garden problem solver. I know when I was in high school, I had an outstanding garden. And there's probably some kids in there that might enjoy this. I don't have room for a garden here, or I'd keep it. I had a garden. I grew all kinds of things. It was in snake country, so every time I went out for cucumbers, I had to use a stick to wrestle the leaves to scare the rattlesnakes away. But one year I grew so many pumpkins, because they were pretty easy to grow, that I surprised everybody in the neighborhood. I got up real early and I went around and I put more than one on everybody's front doorsteps for just before Halloween. So if they didn't want to carve them, they could make pumpkin pie. But anyway, so I'm going to do this. Here, I've got another box. I bought the balance of my books that I'm going to donate to Tyler's school. And I mentioned before that it was 50. Well, I actually bumped that number up to 100. I found that this project I really enjoy because I like books so much. Although I did learn during the process that, you know, it's one thing just to go and collect books and give them to somebody. And as I mentioned in the first of the book project videos, you know, you want to feel some satisfaction in whatever you do. So that's why I put them into boxes, separate boxes, and mailed them up. Every Monday morning I mailed a box of books. So that made me feel good every Monday morning. And I thought maybe the librarian or the kids would have something to look forward to. Because when I had seen Tyler here recently, he said that every Friday he goes to the library. The class goes to the library, and there's a cart with new books there off to the side. So I'd be curious how many of these books show up in that cart and add to, you know, his selection, the options for more books for the kids to read. Here's one called Crazy About Cupcakes. I'm sure somebody might be a young chef in class, and somebody's going to want some more ideas about how to make cupcakes. So every one of these books has a sticker. Talking about the other thing I want to do, and I'm going to do it this week, another video about picking up trash at the bus stop. Well, because that seems to be an easy peasy thing for me to do, pick up trash, but it feels good to think that the kids who may not notice the difference, but in fact there will be a difference for however short a time there, when they're waiting for the bus, to not see so much trash, and maybe that'll give them a little more time to think about something else, you know, something else about school or in their life. And this one is another cookbook. This one's called, look at this one here, Tyler, Blood and Guts. A working guide to your own insides. roast, but that'll be fun to learn about something. Here's one on 175 science experiments to amuse and amaze your friends. So here's a big sticker. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do it this week because it's Christmas next Sunday, and I want to do it when I don't have a big audience watching me. You know, not a lot of people at the bus stop. Well, I'm sure there'll be people, but not so many kids. But I decided to do more than just one. I may start the process tomorrow back at the one I've visited to a couple, 3 times, and I've picked up the trash. So it's been clean for more than a few days. And I noticed that I think the city owns the property there. They mowed down all the weeds behind the bus stops. So when they did that, they took a lot of trash away, which is good. But the trash still blows in. I don't know from where, but it looks a lot better because I think I mentioned in another video when I drove by the other day, there was a city crew out there and they were power washing the stains off the sidewalk, and that made me feel really good because I'm going to pretend that they responded to my email that I wrote. Here's 175 more science experiments. So how much is that? Anybody? What is that? 150 to 300 and 350? 175 and 175? 150, 150, 150, 250. Yeah, 350. I'm right. Okay, well, that didn't take too long. So I just came in from sawing some wood that I'm going to give to some friends for Christmas because they have a potbelly stove and they need it to keep warm. And I collected some branches when I went and found some free wood on Craigslist. Free stuff, free firewood, which I got for another friend because he uses, my friend Greg actually, he uses wood to heat his house when he doesn't want to, he only wants to save on propane, so that's good. So I feel good. I love to collect firewood. So I got a whole truck full of firewood I collected for free. And anyway, I picked up a bunch of smaller branches and I've been out sawing those to, you know, like foot-long pieces so they fit in Edward's potbelly stove easier. So I think I'm going to end up with a couple of boxes. And I've split up all the branches I brought back into days, so I can do a few every day between now and Christmas. Otherwise, I might be able to use my right arm if I get it all in one day. It's good exercise and helps something in this book. This is another copy of a book I got at another book sale. I saw somebody stuck over to take that out of there. Look at this one here. 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. And I think that might be good for kids to know about places on the planet that they didn't know about. Math Smart Junior. And the reason I turn, oh, here's another one of those things. See a sticker on Pride and Prejudice here by Jane Austen. So I just came back from the movies. We saw Manchester by the Sea today. It was very good. It wore me out, only because there was a lot of thinking. It was emotional. Very good. I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. Everybody was so good. Casey Affleck was outstanding. Michelle Williams is always good in my opinion, and the actor that played the kid Patrick, wait a minute, don't tell me, Luca Hedges, maybe. He was very good too. I thought it was a story about, well, it is kind of sort of, it's a story about a little bit about everything, like a day in the life, and the pacing of the movie is such slow enough that it makes you feel like you're there and you have to think about things. It's not, every scene isn't quick and dirty and wrapped up and you're on to the next special effect. And I was going to tell you what it's about, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to tell you to go see it. But I had an uncle in a similar situation, and it happened to him. I didn't know him at the time, and I found out about it later only because my parents divorced when I was very young, so I didn't know my dad's side of the family. But when I heard about Uncle Dan's tragedy, and just broke my heart, and and then years later when I met him, I was told, now be careful, don't, what you say to Uncle Dan, because he's had a terrible tragedy in his life and he's a little unstable. Well, when I met him, he was all kinds of friendly and positive and optimistic and open-minded. I was like, wow, I like this guy. And I think the message I want to tell any kids that are watching is to, talk to somebody you trust and tell them how you feel about stuff. Not everybody, can tell the truth. Not everybody is comfortable with the truth, and but you can't really change people's personality. You have to work with what you've got. But so I can't tell you about the movie because I think you should go see it for yourself. But I will tell you about a kid I met on the plane that I flew up to visit my mom in the nursing home. And after traveling all day, this sticker won't come off, that's why I'm looking down at my feet. I was traveling all day and I was just burned out by the time I got to Seattle. And when I got on that plane, it's only a 39-minute flight. I wished it had been longer because this kid that ended up sitting in the middle between me and another guy there didn't want to sit there originally, and so I just started talking with him. I wasn't really trying to befriend him or anything, but he was very vocal and about the fact he didn't want to sit in that chair, and I asked him if he wanted to sit by the window. We could check with the stewardess later. And then he sat down and he was all banged up. He had like almost open sore on his knee and on his elbow up here. And so we started talking. He had been in a skateboarding accident, but he had learned his lesson. He said, lesson learned is I'm not going to be skateboarding anymore. And but he was very friendly, not very friendly, but he was, well, I found out later that I think he was either in foster care or being adopted. I didn't ask too many details, but he said, because I asked him why he wasn't in school today, and he said, well, it's visitation, I'm meeting my new family. So I felt glad for him. I felt a little sad. I can't imagine what he had to go through up to that point. But I had a good time. And I want to thank Austin was his name. And if you're out there, shout out to Austin and all the best to you. At one point, I guess I was doing something right. He turned to me and he said, well, you're a pretty friendly guy. You're a nice guy, except for all that gray hair everywhere. I wasn't quick enough. I should have said, well, maybe I'm Santa Claus. But after he jumped up and got his bag and banged his head on the top of where the bags are kept, and he ran down the aisle. I don't know who he was talking to because he was not with the guardian that he came on with. He said, turned to like he's talking to his friends, yeah, I would see him again. And it's like, that made my whole day. That made my whole week. It made me feel so good that, maybe once in a while I'm doing something right that has a good positive effect on somebody else. So that's the premise of my videos. I'm still learning here as I go, but I want to help make kids feel good about themselves, and I want to recycle everything. I say everything. I'm not sure that I can do everything, but it doesn't hurt to dream. Pretend that maybe, you know, start with something small and work up to something big. So I'm going to end this video here because I've got some other things I'm going to tag on to it. Here's the history of medicine, and I've emptied this box here while I've been talking too long. I'm also going to take the bottles and cans that I've saved up here. It's easier if I save them up rather than go like every other week and stand in line. It's easier if I just save them up since I have a garage out there in the back. But and I'll make some whatever money I make. I'm gonna commit myself here. There's another movie that we decided we wanted to see today. I think it's called A Monster Calls, and it's about a kid who is getting bullied, and he calls for help, and I think a monster comes to help him. And I know Tyler likes scary things, so I'm sure this is going to be a good movie for him to see, and I'll let you know. But I'm going to whatever money I make on recycling, and I'm going to ask if Jason wants to come along with us when we go see it. I think he might enjoy that, and then he can tell Tyler somehow through me whether it was good or not, but I'm sure it will be. The trailer looks great. Okay, thank you for listening, and recycle something if you can, and if you can't, think about it. There's got to be something we can do to pick up all this trash that's blowing in the wind. All right, keep it clean and keep it green, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, bye.